Hi, friend. I just wanted to take a minute to invite you to our Lash Biz Babes Experience 2026. This is a one-day, all-online event happening on May 2nd, and our theme for the year is going all in. We are shaking things up and doing it differently than anyone ever has before. This is going to be an all-online event, as usual, but it's going to be 100% a curated journey throughout your day as we guide you through the mindset, strategy, and passion needed to go all in on your business to make it your best year in business yet. All lash artists, estheticians, and beauty professionals are invited to join us. There will be guided sessions, interactive workshops, a panel discussion, and big giveaways happening throughout that whole day. And tickets are on sale now for only $199. Payment plans are available. Let's go all in on our businesses for 2026 together. All the details and the link for tickets are down in the show notes below. I would love to have you join us online in May. Welcome to Lash Biz Babes, the podcast for solo beauty business owners who want to build a full clientele and create a business and life that they truly love. My name is Erica. I'm your host. I'm a lash artist turned beauty business coach, lash educator, and social media manager for salons and beauty businesses. I'm so happy that you're here. Let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. Welcome to this week's episode of Lash Biz Babes. My name is Erica. I'm your host. And this week, we are going to be talking about a topic that I don't think I've really seen anywhere. I'm sure someone's talked about it at some point, somewhere. But especially within the beauty realm, the lash industry, the beauty service provider industry, I've never seen anyone talk about this personally. So I want to start the conversation. I want to be someone who talks about it because we all go through things that are hard and we all experience grief in our lives at different points. And so I want to talk about, navigating grief and keeping your business running, keeping your business going, because it is hard when you are grieving and you're hurting in your personal life and you still have a business to run. And obviously, taking a break if you need to is valid and you've got to do what you've got to do. But for myself, in times when I've gone through difficulties or been grieving or going through hard things, I didn't really have that choice to just set the business aside and look at it later, take a break and come back to it again. Because still had bills to pay, still had a mortgage to pay, still had kids to take care of, still had obligations to clients that I needed to fulfill. I still had deadlines to meet. And we run into these situations and times when you still have a business to run, but how do you even wake up and keep yourself going in the morning? Or especially when you just feel like you want to lay in bed all day and do nothing but cry. So this is what we're going to talk about today, because I feel like I've gone through a handful of different situations in the last few years where there has just been a lot of grief, a lot of hardship. And, how do you keep going when you do want to just lay in bed? How do you keep going when your favorite person is no longer on earth? It's hard. And it's anyway, I don't see anyone talking about this. So I'm going to try my best to not cry the whole episode. I promise you I won't, but obviously it's just a topic that is sensitive, and you know me, if you've listened to any episodes, I'm a crier, so I will do my best here. But the first thing I want to say when starting this conversation is that all grief is valid, okay? There are so many situations and instances in life that are grief inducing. I feel like sometimes when we think about grief, it's just, when someone does pass away, which obviously is something we've probably all experienced at some point, having someone that we love pass away. It's an instance where there's obviously going to be a lot of grief involved in that, and that's of course valid. But I think, at least for me, I've kind of gaslit myself in the past of thinking you just need to be okay, it's fine, because maybe nobody died, but, there's other situations out there where you can feel grief, and that's okay. Like, that's valid. And I think that you need to recognize that that's okay to be grieving over different situations, even if no one died. And there's a lot of different situations in life. There's friendship breakups, which can hurt really freaking bad sometimes. There's also, grieving over people who are still alive, who you don't have a relationship with anymore. If you had to like go no contact with somebody before, especially if it was like family, that's a situation where you can experience grief. Going through a breakup, going through divorces, having somebody die. Yes, that is obviously some in a situation where there can be a lot of grief, but there's so many different experiences that we have in our lives which can have grief. Even like someone getting a diagnosis, or your child experiences something that was unexpected and that causes grief. There's so many things that can make us feel this way, right? How do you wake up and keep going? And so with that, it's valid to feel how you're feeling. And I think that kind of leads me into the first thing I wanted to say today is that it's okay to let yourself feel all of the feelings. I've been someone in the past where I like will shove things down, be like, oh, it's fine. I'm just gonna push through, keep going, hustle harder, whatever, and just shove those feelings aside and not let myself feel those things. And what ends up happening is that at some point the dam breaks and all those emotions come out. I would spiral and have a full meltdown, breakdown, crying, all the things, upset, just and that didn't feel good. And what I've realized since then is that it's okay. First off, it's valid that you're feeling that way, and that's okay. And like, it's okay to let yourself feel all the feelings. And I think that's something that has been beneficial for me that I learned how to do like with therapy and stuff was just like, all right, it's okay to let yourself feel the things. Like you can like for me, I'm someone who's like, okay, I can cry. I need to cry it out and then I'm gonna be better after that. Like my husband knows like if I'm crying, it's actually a good thing because obviously he's gonna be there and support me through that. But like if I'm crying, it's a good thing because I'm letting those emotions out. I'm letting myself feel the things. I'm gonna be okay afterwards. And because I always say that to him, I'm gonna be fine. I promise. I just need to cry this out. I need to get a good cry session, and then I'm gonna regroup and be okay afterwards. That's been a huge thing for me, and that doesn't even have to look like crying, but that could be, taking some time to reflect on the situation, to reflect on the person who passed away. Letting yourself feel sad or upset, angry, hurt, I don't know what emotions could be tied to that, but like let yourself feel those things and let those out in a healthy way, in a productive way. And that way you can keep moving forward. It's like I've heard one therapist, I think I follow her on Instagram, call it like feel, deal, heal. So you feel the things, you deal with it, and you heal from it. So there's obviously a lot more to go that could go into that. I'm not a therapist. I'm not going to try and get into that, but that's kind of like what I remind myself of. Okay, let's feel the things. We're going to deal with it. We're going to heal from it. So let yourself feel it. It's okay. Your emotions are valid. It's okay. It's safe to let those out. And that's something that was really beneficial for me instead of just trying to like shove it away in all these hard situations, especially when we had so many family members who had passed in a short period of time. And it was like a 5 or 6 month time span, and we had like 4 or 5 different family members who had passed, and like close family members, an uncle, 3 different grandparents, people who were like close to us in our lives on my side of the family and my husband's side of the family. So you have to let yourself feel the things. I think it's important to listen to your body as well. Sometimes I would try to just like push through, even if I was like really tired or really upset or needed to cry, or, I'm just like trying to push through and not do the things. But you have to listen to your body. Okay. You're not going to be able to push through all those things continually because grief, I don't feel like it ever fully goes away, in my opinion. I feel like there's some days where you're going to do better with it. There's some days where it's going to hurt worse. There's, some days where a bigger wave of it's going to come. And like, I don't know, in my opinion, it never fully goes away. So, like, if you're just trying to push through it and not listen to your body and take care of yourself the way that you need to be, you're gonna burn out, you're gonna hit rock bottom and question everything and just like, what am I doing with my life? Why do I feel this way? I can't keep moving forward. I can't do this. For me, it was just like a total like I don't even know how to explain it, just like breakdown of I can't do this and just like I don't know, frantic. I would explain it as like the frayed end of a wire when it's like bouncing around. It's like still kind of live, so it's sparking and bouncing around, but like it's like not I could not hold it together. Okay. And I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I can't do this. But I still have kids to take care of. I still have, we still have responsibilities and I still have clients and I still have a business to run. It was just like, I feel like I'm falling apart. How am I going to keep going? So you have to listen to your body. So for me, it was like, not getting like enough sleep at night and then trying to like push through not drinking enough water and sometimes there would be days when I would have a lot going on and like I would wake up in the morning it was just like I don't I don't have the capacity for this today like all these meetings and so it was like, okay, I'm not gonna set my business aside and take a break from it, but I can take a day to reschedule things if I need to. I can move things around so that I can take a nap today with my kids. I try not to do that very often as far as like moving meetings around and stuff go, because like I know, well, my time's important, but my clients' time are also important. And so it's like, okay, I wanna respect that, but there are still times when things come up and, like, you have a day where your body's just like, you need to rest and take care of yourself, or you don't have the capacity to take on this much today, you don't have the energy for that. Listen to that and adjust accordingly as needed within the realm of still showing up for your clients and respecting their time and not just totally putting them out all the time, right? It's not like I'm gonna reschedule all my meetings or all my clients every single day, but, even if you needed to take a couple weeks off, do what you need to do, but listen to your body. What do you need? And that kind of leads me into my next point of like taking care of yourself with getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, your nutrition, just your basic needs. 'Cause I feel like when those basic needs aren't met, like you're not going to have the capacity to show up in any other space for your business, for your kids, for your spouse, your partner, the people around you, your friends, your animals, because I mean, you still have to take care of your pets too, right? So it's like you've got all of these responsibilities, and you're not going to be able to show up for any of them or show up for yourself, even if you're not taking care of those basic needs. So that's hard, especially for me with like being a parent because it was just like I'm barely functioning to the point of like making sure my kids' needs are being met. But I was like, I'm not going to be able to show up for my kids and make sure that I'm taking care of them well if I'm not taking care of myself well, if I'm not sleeping, if I'm not eating, if I'm not getting enough water, if I'm not, doing the things that I need to do to take care of myself, hygiene and things. I mean, that's not something I ever let slip. But there are times where it's like, okay, you can get depressed and anxious and all I don't know, like kind of with the mental health side of things, and then you're not taking care of things. The house isn't getting cleaned up. You're not taking your shower. You're not taking. You've got to take care of yourself, and that's really hard, but to do when you are feeling grief, and especially when you're like, I just want to lay in bed today. Like I don't want to do anything. I felt that way so many times last year. It was just like I don't want to get up today. I just want to lay in bed. And fortunately for me in those situations, I did have 3 kids who needed to be taken care of. I did have a business that needed to be run. So that kept me getting up and going in the morning. I just kind of had to break it down and keep things simple. Like, okay, I'm not going to overwhelm myself today, but I do need to make sure I'm drinking water. I'm gonna make sure, like, I'm planning out at least even if I'm not, like, meal planning and prepping it all and have it all ready in the fridge, obviously, that makes it really easy on you later in the week, but for me, it was like, I don't feel like I have the capacity to do the full meal plan thing right now, but I can at least have a general plan for meals and try and just make it easy on myself of like what I'm gonna make and have an idea of that and try and make sure it's, nutritious things that are going to like, protein and all of those things so that like I'm feeling good because I'm kind of like an emotional binge eater sometimes, especially if I'm feeling upset or grieving or like just having a hard day. Like, I want sugar. I've got such a huge sugar tooth, and I will want ice cream. And like, it's not like I don't let myself do those things, but like, I can't resort to that every single time and every single day when I'm having a hard day. So, trying to fuel my body better, and that way, I'm able to show up because like you're not eating well, like how are you going to be able to show up for yourself, right? And you're not going to feel good, and it just nutrition is important. So taking care of yourself, sleeping, getting enough water, even if it's just like for me it was just like okay, I'm going to buy myself a Stanley, and I'm just gonna make sure that way I have water with me, I can be drinking that and kind of keep track, but it's just something like, how can I make taking care of myself easier throughout the day, right? Instead of like remembering to have to go get a glass of water, okay, I'm gonna buy myself a Stanley so then I have a lot of water, can bring it with me everywhere. It's like, okay, how can I make this simple and easy for myself? So that's kind of how I approached that. Was like, okay, I need to break this down, make it as simple and easy for myself to do as possible so that I'm making sure these needs are taken care of so then I can show up for my kids and my business at some capacity. Maybe it's not like how I normally would fully show up and be invested in my business or with my kids and present with them. So maybe I'm not at 100% capacity, but I'm still showing up and I'm still taking care of things that need to be taken care of. My kids know that I'm there for them. My kids know that I'm here with them and that I'm still able to take care of them as well as myself. So make that a priority and make that simple for yourself. And that being said, when we're talking about like capacity and stuff, like it's okay to cut out extras that don't need to be done right now. Like I kind of found myself with like extra projects or trying to take on extra lash clients or, squeeze people in, whatever. If there's things that don't need to be done right now, it's okay to cut down on your schedule. If there's not a deadline or a prior obligation, it's okay to kind of like cut down the responsibilities on your plate for a short period of time or just like, for a couple of months until like you feel like you have a higher capacity again and you're like feeling a little bit better. And so for me, that really helped to just like, okay, I'm not going to take on any extra clients right now. I'm not going to worry about this extra project that I want to do. I don't know about you with being an entrepreneur, but for me, I get like a lot of ideas a lot where I'm like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I would love to do this. Oh, oh, this, that, and that other. Instead of just trying to grow right then and there and like really like scale your business at that point, like, I feel like I kind of just had to keep maintaining it versus pushing towards new big goals or big goals that we already had set, right? It's like, okay, I just need to keep in maintenance mode right now. Just keep things flowing and keep things going and I can focus on growing and scaling and the extras later on, but for right now, I just need to show up and make sure that I'm meeting the responsibilities that I currently have. And that was something that was really helpful, especially when I was like just in the depths of like grief, just like just like I said, struggling to get out of bed today. So this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna cut out the extras that don't need to be done and focus on the priorities, the tasks that move the needle forward, and like the responsibilities that you have to get done that have deadlines. And when we're talking about that, I think it's also important to schedule yourself some downtime too. This was hard for me just because I'm always on the go. I've got 3 kids, I've got an international business to run at this point. And even with lash clients, it was like, okay, but I've got all these clients, I've got a breastfeeding baby, and I've got this going on with a lash artist in my studio with me. There was a lot of things happening, a lot of moving pieces all the time. And especially like at that point when I was lashing and stuff, and my husband for I don't know how long of that, like over a year of that was working out of state, not even just out of town, but like out of state from me. And so it was like me running my lash business with a toddler and a newborn, and my husband wasn't home during the week. And so it was just back then and now, I just have found that, like, okay, even if I can just like pencil in 10 minutes of time to just have some downtime. Or for me now, it's like, okay, I have 30 minutes of time at the end of my day where I can just do whatever. So that way I still have time to like scroll on my phone if I want to, or read a book, or, have my me time, but it's not going to affect anything else on my schedule. 'Cause I think having that white space on your schedule and having that downtime to just not have to worry about anything else is really important when you are grieving and trying to run a business or trying to be a mom, trying to show up for all of the other things you have to do around you. That way, you don't feel like you're always going, 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 and you are giving your body and your mind and your soul that space to just be and not have to do anything else for a minute. So I think scheduling downtime was really helpful for me, especially in the last year. But with that, put your phone down more. That's something that's hard for me, especially now where like I run a social media management agency and I'm constantly on my phone. You do not want to see my screen time hours because it is not pretty, just because that's literally where I run my business from, right? Is social media and I'm on my phone a lot. And so I just realized and this was a correlation I picked on up on several years ago, is that the days when I'm like doom scrolling and spending a lot of time on my phone and social media, like I struggled more just in general, even when I wasn't grieving, just on a normal day, or like not feeling a lot of heavy grief in the moment. And so, like on a quote unquote normal day, when I was scrolling on my phone more, I had a harder day. And if I was doom scrolling and dissociating and trying to like basically numb myself to the things going on around me with doom scrolling, I would have a harder day. And so then add a heavy day of grief on top of that, and it just made it 10 times worse. So I think putting your phone down and being present is hugely beneficial when you are grieving and you're still trying to show up and not like totally spiral and lose it. Especially with having kids, that was important for me. It was like, okay, I would find myself doom scrolling sometimes and trying to just like, okay, there's a lot going on. I just want to lay in bed and scroll TikTok or, scroll on Instagram, scroll on Facebook. And for me, I would do it, oh, I'm running my business, like, oh, I'm working. And there were instances where that was true, sure. But there were a lot of times where it was like I was having a hard time. So then I was scrolling or I felt overwhelmed. So I don't know what to do next, so I'm going to scroll. And that never feels good afterwards, and it never helps anything. It doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't help me get things done around the house. It doesn't help me show up for my kids. It doesn't help me run my business. So it was like I'm need to put my phone down more. And that's something that was so helpful. And still, even to this day, even on days when I'm not experiencing like heavy waves of grief, it's still like so good for me to put my phone down and just really be present with my kids, be present with those around me, be present in what I'm doing, be present with my husband or the activity that we're doing. That would be something I would say, especially when you are really going through it with grief or having a hard time, like putting your phone down more because it almost can be used not like a substance. I'm not going to say it's like a drug, but like it can be similarly used where like you get addicted to your phone and you're using that to try and cope instead of facing your feelings or navigating through what you're going through. You're dissociating and doom scrolling instead, and it's not beneficial. So, yeah, put your phone down. Try and be present with those around you and what you're doing. And that can be hard too, especially when you are feeling all the feelings, because if you don't have the phone as your distraction, then you have to sit there and feel the things. And oh, you don't want to have to feel those things. So you'll go scroll instead, or you'll keep yourself so damn busy in your business that you're not having to address the way that you're feeling. That's not helpful either. But it's hard because it's like, okay, but if I put my phone down, if I stop making myself so busy, then I actually have to feel the things. And the way that you're going to be able to move forward and heal and keep things going and show up for yourself, you have to feel the things. And but that's going to be like the next step to healing and to showing up for yourself and to like not feeling the heavy grief all of the time, is letting yourself feel the things and work through those emotions. And especially because like they've done studies now where like bottling up all of these emotions and the traumas and the grief and all those things is actually like physically detrimental to your body and can result in like autoimmune disorders and different things. It is important to feel the things and get the support, and it's not easy, and I think that's why a lot of people choose the substance route or to self-numb with your phone or alcohol or distractions, overworking, like throwing yourself into your work so that you don't have to feel the things. because it's easier that way, honestly. You don't have to work through the hard emotions. You don't have to have the difficult conversations. You don't have to work through the traumas and the things that you're feeling. And you don't have to change either because you just are kind of ignoring all of it. And you don't have to change your ways at all or what you're doing. But I don't know, for me, it was just like, that's not what I want for myself, and, like, I wanna show up, like, I would describe myself as very success driven, and I wanna show up, and I wanna do the best for my kids, and I wanna be the best version of myself, and I wanna hit the big goals, and I want to do big things with my life, and I wanna feel good about it, and, like, no, it doesn't feel good to let yourself feel the things or, like, go through the anger and the grief and the sadness and all of that of, like, working through traumas and grieving situations, but that's, like, necessary, unfortunately. And it's not easy to do, but it's worth it in the end. And with that, getting support, that's been huge, and that can look really different in different capacities, whether that is going to therapy, which is something that, I've done in the last couple of years, finally, for the first time in the last couple of years, and, that was huge for me, and unfortunately, it wasn't very accessible for me prior to that. I wish I would have gone sooner, but it's hard to have the insurance coverage, and it can be really expensive and time consuming. So, if you do have the resources and the opportunity to go to therapy, I do really think that is a great support to help you through the grieving process. Look into the different resources there are out there. And there's like online therapists too now and like websites where you can get support and get help at like a lower cost as well. So, there's different options out there. But for me, especially in like situations that involved like trauma and grief, it was really beneficial to have someone who was just third party to the whole thing and who I could talk to, who wasn't going to judge me, who wasn't biased toward any of the people involved or any of the situations involved. They didn't already have a set opinion on it. So it was just helpful for me. They could kind of look on as like a third party onlooker and just kind of give me different perspectives, different coping methods, and just gave me some different tools in my tool belt to be able to navigate and manage the different situations that I was facing and the different phases of grief that I was going through. If you aren't able to do therapy, or maybe if you're just looking for support in other ways, I think too, just it this one was hard for me because we moved out of state. My husband and I moved out of state a couple of years ago, and we didn't know anyone. We still don't really know anyone where we're at. We don't have like that community feel. We don't have any family here. We are starting to make some friends, but it's not at the point of like where, oh, we can go drop my kids off for a play date whenever kind of thing yet. We're not quite there yet. So like it takes time to build that community, but having some kind of support too, especially as a parent, I feel like that's really, really important. And even if that can sometimes just look like, a neighbor helping out with kids or asking, if you're really going through it and having a hard time, it's okay to like ask for support, whether you need help with like meals or just having a friend to talk to, having a family member to talk to. That's kind of what got me through in the last like year or two where I was going through all these hard things and like struggling, but I didn't have any like physical support around me or help other than like it was really my husband and I leaning on each other most of the time. But like just having people to talk to, like I had my sister, my mother-in-law really stepped up and was someone that I could go to and turn to and talk to whenever. Just having someone that you can trust to just listen. They don't even necessarily have to offer solutions, but just someone to listen to. But it's okay to ask for support and to ask for help. Like, you don't have to struggle alone. Like, there's no prize at the end of the life, or at least not that we're aware of, but that's besides the point. There's no prize at the end of the line for just doing it all by yourself and, being super hyper independent and feeling like you can't ask people for help, which is like I totally get because I've always been someone who like even if something is broken or I don't have the means to do something or it's going to take me a lot more time and effort to accomplish a task, I will still not ask for help. Like, I will just figure it out with the resources that I have available. And that that doesn't serve anyone long term. That didn't serve me. It's not going to serve you to stay quiet and not ask for help or support. So, get support where you can, whether that's therapy, a trusted friend or family member, getting help with your kids, even leaning on if you have a church or religious community, leaning on that and your that community in a time of need. There's a lot of ways that you can get support. That can also look like community resources in your area too. There's probably support groups and, grief support groups. I mean, I've gone to those in the past before as well. So there's different resources out there to get support. And sometimes that can even look like, getting support with food and like food stamps or there's resources out there depending on your situation and what you're going through, but it's okay to ask for support and to get the help that you need. So the next thing I wanted to talk about too was just like some different mechanisms, like coping mechanisms that I feel like really helped me cope in a healthy way. So journaling, I feel like I'm kind of really bad at journaling. I would rather type things out because it's much faster for me to type than to write. But I think it was really good for myself and my nervous system to force myself to slow down and have to like write things out, even though it felt like it took forever and it was so slow and like ew writing. But I think it was a good thing for me. I'm honestly not very good at journaling right now, but when I was, especially in the last year, when I was just going through a lot of things, the journaling seemed to really help and just like writing out how I was feeling and also doing like a gratitude list. That was just something that helped shift my focus, for the day. Cause it was like, I can't control all these things going around me. I can't control if someone's going to die or not around me. I can't control what this person's going to say or not say to me or all of these things, but I can control how I'm feeling and what I'm focusing on and what I'm putting my time and my energy into. So I'm going to choose to focus on gratitude and, can journal things out. So that has helped me. Grounding. This kind of ties in with like getting outside, which is what I was going to say next. That is something that's been helpful for me because we like to be outdoors a lot. My family and I do. My husband and I try and get our kids outside a lot, even if it's just going to the park or we like to go to like the lake and up in the mountains and stuff. Taking off your shoes, getting your feet in the sand, getting your feet in the grass, in the beach, in the water, like just that really helps ground me and just like, okay, I can breathe. Meditating is something that's helped me too. I'm so bad at meditating sometimes because my brain is just constantly going nonstop all the time, just all over the place. It never stops thinking. So when I am able to meditate and just like breathe and not think about anything, like, and just let my brain be clear for a few minutes, it's really helpful for me to just kind of recenter and, okay, I'm going to refocus and keep going and like, I'm going to be okay, right? I got this. I need to take a minute to meditate and reset. And now I can kind of have a little bit of better capacity to take on the whatever load I need to handle that day. Especially when I'm feeling really overwhelmed, that's really helpful. But it's also been a really great way to just like start the day out. I also like doing like guided meditations. There's a lot on YouTube and like podcasts and different things. There's even some I think on like Apple Music. I would assume Spotify probably has some too. Those can be helpful for me because sometimes it is really hard to just like trying to not think about anything. The guided ones can be helpful for me because I feel like I can focus a little better with those because I'm focusing on what they're saying versus like my thoughts wandering. So that's something that has helped me as well. In situations with people passing away, doing something to honor them is something that's always been really helpful for me. Back in high school, my stepdad passed away my senior year of high school. I wasn't running a business at the time, but something that kind of helped me navigate that grief because that was really heavy, that was really hard, was I did, like, a tribute for him, which is I mean, as adults, we don't have maybe this type of opportunity, but I was in color guard, we had our color guard recital. It was like a winter guard recital, and I was a senior, so I had a solo, so I did my solo dedicated to my stepdad who had passed away, and that was just like a tribute to him. It was something that really helped me just to kind of channel that energy, it was something to honor him. But, even for like when my grandma passed away last year, I just felt like I was really going through it. I just little things like you know, got my nails done for her with like her favorite color and like a butterfly and stuff that remind me of her and like, having like got like little butterfly thing to put in the front yard. And it can just even be little things like you can do get like a tattoo to honor them or donate to a charity or a cause that they would have supported or they would have loved, or there's different things that you can do. But I feel like that just kind of like channels your energy into a good spot and like keeps you in a good mind frame. But then it's also something that you can do to honor them that is impactful, but also just something that kind of helps you to navigate those emotions and to, I don't know about having closure necessarily, but just like, you're doing something for them and, they mattered to you, they were important to you, you're doing something to honor their memory. And that is something that helped me navigate grief too. So, just a couple of different mindset tools with that of navigating those things and continuing to move forward. But just to kind of wrap this up, I think the most important thing for me was kind of just slowing down, feeling the things. It's okay if I can't show up and do all of the things today. It's okay if I don't show up on my Instagram stories today. It's okay if I let those DMs sit for a couple more days. It's okay if, I'm not posting every single day right now, and letting yourself go through those emotions. Try for me, it was like, okay, I just need to keep up with my deadlines. So it was a lot of like trying to be really good about time management and making sure my deadlines are hit and things are still flowing. Like I was saying earlier, just kind of keeping things in maintenance mode of like keeping it going instead of like being in scaling mode of trying to grow. So that was something that kind of that helped me, and listening to my body and just being able to, okay, I need a little extra rest today. I'm going to make sure I'm drinking my water today. I also feel like it can kind of be good to have like someone who you trust to be kind of like an accountability partner in a sense. I don't know if that's a good word for it, but just like someone who you can check in with, how are you doing today? And they can kind of like hold you accountable to like making sure you're taking care of yourself. This was my sister for me. We talk nearly like every day. And so she's like, okay, like, are you drinking your water today? Which like she was going through it too, because it was all her family that passed away as well. And like, she was going through a lot of this similar situations with like our family that were difficult too at the time. And so I appreciated her like being able to kind of be that person for each other, like checking in with each other. How are you doing today? Did you drink your water today? What do you have going on? And just keeping going. But at the end of the day too, I think really just honing in on your why in your business. I think that's really important, especially in times of grief and difficulty, because like you can make money at any job, right? You don't have to go through all the difficulties of running your business, but like when you are really anchoring into that why of why you run your business and why you do what you do, why you're passionate about it and the benefits that you get out of it, that's going to get you through all of the things. So for me, that was like my kids and showing up for them and being able to give them the best life possible. And I feel like, trying to just quit everything and put it all aside wasn't going to help me achieve that. And so that's what really kept me going too. And at the end of the day, like there were still hard days. Like there were hard days where it's like I was trying to do all these things and handle it in a healthy way and still show up for myself. But it was just like, I don't want to do this today. Like I would have a really good day and be like, oh my gosh, I have to do all of this again tomorrow. Like I just want to cry. And I just like lay at bed at night and cry myself to sleep. And I have to wake up again and do this again tomorrow. And I just don't think I can do it. And there's still hard days, and there's still days where, like, you're not gonna feel like doing it. You're not gonna feel like doing the dishes, you're not gonna feel like showing up, you're not gonna feel like getting your client work done, you're not gonna feel like lashing, you're not gonna feel like doing things, like, taking care of I don't wanna say you're not gonna feel like taking care of your kids, but, like, it's gonna be hard to get up and take care of your kids, right? And so you're not gonna feel like always doing the things, and sometimes you just have to get up and do them anyway. And that's something that has kind of been a good realization for me is like I don't have to feel like doing something to get it done. So like no, I don't feel like doing the dishes, but yes, I can still show up and do them. No, I don't feel like folding laundry, but yes, I can still do that and I can watch my show while I fold it. Like there's I don't know, there's just days where like I didn't feel like getting out of bed, but like I still had to just get up and do it. I had kids to take care of. I had a business to run, and, like, that kept me getting up every morning, so, like, I'm grateful for that, and I think, honestly, my kids were kind of my saving grace through it all too of just, like, I I'm just very driven to show up for them. I'm very driven to making their lives the best it can be, and so that keeps me going even when I don't feel motivated to do that or I don't feel like doing the things. I'm very committed to my kids and to my clients and showing up to doing the things. So that kept me going and that's part of my why. So, you're still gonna have hard days. And I'm just sending my love out to you if you are really going through it right now, because I know how difficult it can be. And I just hope you can find ways to navigate through things in a healthy way. Because I kind of realized too that like there's always going to be hard things going on. Hard things can coincide with good things happening. Like literally the same weekend my grandma died, I had like pulled out of a speaking event that I was really excited about and like had all these things going on. But like I also threw like it was Lash Biz Babes on the conference weekend that weekend. And so like I threw this really amazing conference out of my car because we didn't have a house yet. And then my grandma died and I had to pull out the speaking event, but then the conference went amazing. And then I signed like a really big client, like the biggest client to date was like a $7,000 contract that has actually been way more than that because they've stuck on with us even longer. And it was just like, there's just like good things and hard things can coincide. They're not mutually exclusive. And so that's kind of what I realized was like, this is really hard, but I would rather it's gonna be hard whether I lay in bed all day or whether I get up and clean the house today. Or it's gonna be hard whether I lay in bed with my kids all day or I get up and we go do something fun and I make sure all the client work is done and I go take lash clients or, whatever it is that you need to get done. Either way, it's hard. So you might as well get up and do the things and still feel somewhat good about things and focus on the gratitude, focus on the joy, focus on the little things, enjoy the little moments. And like, that's kind of just what I realized is like, there's always going to be hard things that happen and like situations and moments of grief and like what the waves of grief come and go. But like, I'm not gonna feel better about myself just from laying in bed all of the time and doing nothing and letting myself rot. That is not to say I don't have a good rot day every now and again and let myself just relax, but it's not I just know for myself, like, I'm not gonna feel good about it from just, like, laying in bed and doing nothing, and that's gonna be hard. Like, it's I don't know. Either way, it's hard. So, I might as well pick the hard route that of, like, still showing up for my kids, showing up for my business, showing up for my clients, showing up for my spouse, doing the things, like, take that hard route because I know there's feel good things in that journey and feel good things at the end of that where I'm gonna feel better about myself and I'm gonna feel better inside. I know it's hard to show up and take care of yourself, but I'm gonna choose that route every time because I wanna feel good and I want to not feel like crap like I do when I'm spiraling. So, yeah, there's some thoughts on that. But I'm sending my love if you are going through things right now, really going through it, because I know how it is. I know how hard it can be, but I hope you know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't even think there's really an end of the tunnel, but there are like little shiny moments of light throughout the journey. And at the end, like there is going to be a time where it doesn't feel so heavy. Maybe it's still gonna be there, but it's not so heavy that day. And you are gonna have like good times and good moments through it. And like grief and joy can coexist. So I'm sending my love. Thank you so much for listening this week. I hope that you truly were able to get something out of this. And I'll be back again next week. If you haven't already, I would appreciate if you could go leave the podcast a review wherever you listen to podcasts at, because we are really working on growing the show right now. That helps us to reach more lash artists and beauty business owners out there. So definitely go leave us a review. I appreciate you and I hope that you have a great week.